Hello everyone, welcome back to Allcarnews, and today you join us here with the heavily updated 2025 Kia EV6 here in this GT line configuration. Now we are very familiar with the Kia EV6 here on the channel, as we did review the fully loaded GT back in 2023. Though now the Kia EV6 for the 2025 model year has gotten a very extensive update with this all new front fascia. We have plenty of upgrades on the interior, and now standard throughout the range is the NACS port, aka the North American Charging Standard. And another great thing about this EV6 is that it's 80% built in the United States. It's built in the United States completely, actually. So that's going to help to avoid any sort of tariffs as well. So as per usual, I'll take you guys on a full tour and in-depth review of all of the new updates and features of this EV6 GT line, as well as why we think the EV6 is still one of our favorite mainstream electric vehicles, as it does everything right that a real proper EV should. Let's go dive in. So of course, for 2025, we have a larger 84 kilowatt hour battery pack that is now on offer, which is a nice size increase than around a 77 kilowatt hour pack from before. This particular one is the all-wheel drive GT line. There is a rear-wheel drive available, and you can also step down to the Wind and a few other Kia EV6 variants between all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive. This particular one is rated at around 271-ish miles on the EPA scale. Now, we do have the larger 20-inch wheels, so that could kind of hamper range a little bit. Though from what I've seen in some testing from other outlets is that they've actually seen better real-world range than what the EPA is claiming, and our own guess-o-meter, if we like to call it, on our digital cluster is saying the same. It says we can actually get up to around 350 miles if we're driving really efficiently. This particular car is making 320 horsepower and well north of 400 pound-feet of torque. Same numbers as you're going to find in the lower Wind trim, actually. So this GT line is really more of an appearance package. All-wheel drive is really going to get you a lot more grip in all traction situations, even though this particular car likes to run in rear-wheel drive mode most of the time to save energy for you. So that's a nice little trait there. But let's go talk about charging stuff here, because this is where this EV6 also impresses. Coming around to the rear end of the Kia EV6 is where we're going to find our charge port door over here. And this is a great charge port door, as it is powered and it opens really quick too. So all you have to do is really just tap it right there, and it does open up really quickly for you, and you can press it closed again, just like that. Again, really quick operation there. And this is a really good location for the charge port door, as you can get really close to a charger for, say, if the cable isn't long enough and you're on a road trip, for example. Now you're gonna notice here that we have the NACS port, the Tesla port, the North American Charging Standard. This is what we're gonna find in pretty much all new EVs going forward in the United States, at least. And it's pretty interesting here. So if you want to charge on a CCS charger, you're going to need an adapter. The car has the adapter, so that's not really a concern there. And an interesting thing though is, yes, you can charge on many Tesla superchargers now, though a lot of Tesla superchargers cannot actually charge this vehicle at its full rate. This is around an 800 volt architecture. I think it's actually just around 600 volts, but that's a lot higher than a lot of other vehicles on the road. So let's say you go up to a Tesla supercharger, specifically a version 3 supercharger, not the full new version 4s with the new version 4 packs. It's pretty crazy. You may not be seeing the full around 250-ish kilowatts this thing can charge up to. So if you go to an Electrify America station that has like a 350 kilowatt label there, you're probably going to see those high numbers there, and that's where you're going to get a closer estimate of Kia's own estimate of 10 to 80% in around 20-ish minutes. Level 2 charging, such as at home, will get you up to around 11 kilowatts. So that's pretty much what we see across the board there, so that's not too bad at all. But this port is definitely future-proofing this vehicle. Going forward, everything's going to have this port. Everyone's going to be using this port. So it's good that this car already is getting it, and it's nice that they are giving you an adapter in this particular vehicle that we have to kind of mix and match across the board there. So this is going to be a fun thing to test out over the course of our week of testing there. And again, the location of this is really great as well. Now, of course, one of the major changes on this facelifted Kia EV6 is this entire front end. Now, I wasn't one to think that the facelifted EV6 looked bad, but I actually am a huge fan of the things that Kia did up here. We have an entirely new front fascia. Hyundai Kia always do this, and it always amazes me how much they're able to change for these facelifts. So coming down over here, we're gonna find these all new headlights. This is something we're going to see a little bit more in line with something like the all-new Kia Sportage, for example, as well as a few other EV products they're putting out right now. We're also getting a front light bar now as well. That's a new addition to this front fascia. Hood shape is generally quite similar as before, very narrow up front here, not a lot of overhang whatsoever, very sharp point down, and I really like what they've done to the lower bumper area over here as well. We have a much more unique design, I would say, to this lower cooling area, which does have active aero shutter flaps behind them, which is really nice. I think it more fits in line with the design of this angular headlight as well. I think it's a really cool touch there. Now, joining me over in the wheel and tire area over here, we have the optional 20-inch wheel, and I actually think this is a pretty cool wheel design, specifically because it really fits the overall design language of this vehicle. Everything from, you know, those angular bits on the headlights to the angular bits on the lower front intake area. Even with the all-new steering wheel design, this is a really cool shape, I think. That's totally up to you. There's also a few other wheel options you can get, as well as a smaller 19-inch wheel, which could help a little bit with range. Now, again, speaking with range, as we mentioned earlier, these wheels technically are supposed to reduce range just a little bit, but we're going to put that to test in the real world. Now, a real true test for a proper ground-up EV is, does it have a frunk? Well, this one does. Despite it being quite minuscule, there is a small front trunk located over here. You really cannot store much, if at all, maybe some papers or documents, though Kia has put in here this little cubby that is coming with their provided, for us at least, vehicle to load adapter. So this little thing allows you to plug it into the charge port, and then you can directly pull current out of the battery pack to power, like, I don't know, camping equipment or a microwave or something. It's pretty cool, actually, so you can definitely put that to use here. Out back on this facelifted EV6, again, visually at first glance, not much is actually different back here. Though if you have a pretty keen eye, you'll notice that there is a new design on the inside of this rear LED light bar. That is a little bit more of a notch and a few different elements in here, just to give it that little bit of a fresher look. But I think the rear end of the EV6 still looks pretty clean and sleek. Folding down that second row of seats, you're gonna get around 50 cubic feet of cargo space. So it's a pretty spacious cavern, though I would say something like the Hyundai Ioniq 5 might be a little bit better for you if you kind of like to stack things up a little bit taller, as this has a pretty steep sloping angle on the rear roofline. Otherwise, again, pretty easy to close. We do have some other fun stuff back here, a little bit more side cubby storages over there, but we can just pop this button and it will shut up for us really easily. Now, have a quick look at our door panel because it is a little bit dark in here. Nice material mixture up here. Again, pretty soft touch stuff everywhere, other than up here with a little bit of some harder plastics. We have this really cool kind of hash pattern design that we find up here, as well as on our lower Meridian surround speaker system. We do get the upgraded speaker here, and we are also getting a nice kind of felt lined cup holder area over here, or I guess it's this little storage cubby with ambient lighting, which is nice. Closing up the door, pretty nice solid funk there. We also have this nice kind of soft touch material across this entire portion of the door handle, as well as back here, so your elbows won't get kind of scuffed up. Harder plastics over here, and we do get a rear heated seat on both outboard seats, power windows as well, and a nice privacy tint as well back here. And check out how much space we get in the back of these seats. Plenty. It is indeed a lot of space, actually. So I have a lot of leg room. Remember, this has a very similar wheelbase to the Kia Telluride SUV in a very smaller overall dimensioned vehicle shape. So this has a lot of interior cargo room, benefits of an EV architecture. We do get some storage behind these rear seats as well, some harder plastics on the back of these seats, but it's designed to get scuffed up over here, probably with some kids. I like how we have these USB-C ports on the back of our seat area, very easily accessible back here. Though we're not going to find any sort of air vents or any other additional kind of plugs or storage in this center area. But peek down here, we're going to find a household style outlet that can be swiped open and controlled, I think, via the touchscreen as well, which is kind of cool. So a lot more storage solutions back here. One thing I also really like that Kia did is that we have a completely flat floor, thanks to, again, full dedicated EV architecture. And they actually scalloped these seats. So if I put our camera right down here on an angle, you can see that this is indeed not just a flat seat, it's scalloped up. And this is great because it doesn't feel like my legs legs are actually just kind of floating in thin air. I actually do have some thigh support and some general leg support, and I feel like I'm sitting in a true like bucket style seat. So that's actually quite nice back here. Again, this flat floor means I can just slide across really easy, and look how much room both outboard passengers can have if I'm sitting in the center. It's a genuinely usable rear seat space, and these seats are pretty comfortable. They recline as well, and they're finished in this same nice material. It is not leather, but it actually feels quite nice, soft, and comfortable actually, and pretty durable. Folding down this center armrest area over here, we're gonna have 2 cup holders as well. So that's a nice touch, but this is a really spacious rear seat area. Again, nice big door panels, big rear windows, big seats, and we even get our own lighting up here as well. Nice bright LEDs. I just wish this sunroof actually went all the way back here. It kind of cuts off right where the driver and front passenger are. I guess that's kind of due to this sloping roof line, though we do have our air vents located on the side over here, so you're not missing out on that completely. Let's go hop up front and see what Kia has changed on that area of this interior. Now, of course, before we go hop in the front seats, we have a quick look at our Kia's key fob here. I really like this key fob. It's kind of this cool kind of textured design on it. And when you press the buttons, the Kia logo actually lights up, which is kind of cool. We have our smart park system here. This is the next generation version of it. So not only can I move the vehicle forward and back, I can actually remote park the vehicle after finding a spot from the in-vehicle parking system. But really cool key here, and you also have digital key now, so I don't even need to use this key. I can use my iPhone, set that up, and kind of just walk up to the vehicle, tap it, and open it. And we have this nice same treatment on this particular door panel as we saw out back, but this whole front cabin area is so incredibly spacious. As you can see, lots of room, and these seats are really comfortable. We have power adjustment, lumbar support, pretty generally quite comfortable upper seat portion. I wish there was a little bit more thigh support options down here, but let's hop inside and of course see what we're getting. Really huge opening like we saw in the rear seat area over here as well. Let's check out that door thunk again. Nice and solid. So we still have a start stop button actually. A lot of pure EV people think this is the wrong thing to do, but I like to have a button here, and I like how it's presented, surrounded by ambient lighting, and right here, easy to access. So pressing this, let's see what happens. Car starts up nice and quick over here for us. Let's close our sunroof over here. Let's have a quick look at that operation. Pretty easy. And here is this upgraded cabin. So right off the bat, you're going to notice there's the new generation Kia steering wheel design here. We saw this in the Kia K4 that we reviewed. I actually think it's pretty cool. It's kind of like this squared off style design here. I like the two-tone material on here as well. It feels very nice to the touch. We have a heated steering wheel button, 2 stages right here in our center console area. It gets nice and hot. And we have our drive mode selector right located down here as well. So I can cycle through normal, sport, custom mode, snow, as well as an eco mode as well, and all of those can change the gauge cluster up there. As you can see on our left hand side over here, we're going to have all of our controls over here for our highway driving assistant 2 on this vehicle, which is really good, and we can cycle through a few configurable screens on this center screen over here. Not too much actually. And on the right hand side, all of our controls for our media system, a favorite button, and all of these nice physical tactile buttons. No gloss black. This is how it should be done, everyone. I like that. Of course we have our turn stalk over here, which is going to bring up our side cameras on either side. Love that still. Automatic lights. And we also have those fantastic regen paddles over here. So you're going to note we're in level 1 right now. I can press this. Now it's going to go to 0. Left, we're going to go all the way up to level 3, 2, and an iPedal mode, which is your 1-pedal drive. But there's another hidden mode on here. So you can actually just hold this paddle whenever you want, and that will actually just fully increase regen. Or if you press this and hold, this is going to put it into auto mode. So it's going to decide when it wants to regen as well. So you have a lot of adjustment with your regenerative braking settings. Over here on the left hand side, we're going to find ambient lighting and our air vent over here. Nice, easy to use large physical buttons for our interior dimmer. We can open up our charge port door here, electronic parking brake traction control, trunk release there. All of these nice, easy to use physical button controls for our window controls, mirror controls, all that nice stuff. Of course, we even get seat memory in this particular one. And this one, we're getting a nice soft touch material on the upper portion of the door. No hard plastics here. That's only going to be in the lower area, but I do like the design of these Meridian surround speakers. I think that's actually quite nice. And we have a little bit of a larger door cubby down here, illuminated with the ambient lighting. Really nice touch there, Kia. Also new on this interior is the software and stuff going on behind these displays. So as you're going to note, we have a different digital cluster. This is what we saw in the K4 and a lot of other new Kia products. I think it's okay. I think it's very limited. You have your speed, you have your range. That's pretty much it. You can kind of change the design via the different drive modes, but there's not much going on there. And of course, these screens are also curved just a little bit, so they're a little bit more angled towards the driver. And thankfully, we don't have what we saw in the all-new EV9, which is this climate panel over here, which I absolutely could not stand. Thankfully, it's still this really nice climate mixed-use panel down here. So again, nice ambient light touches up here. And I like this panel because we have all of these physical controls here. We have a physical volume knob, a tuning knob as well, another favorite button there that you can configure. And you just press this once and it opens up your climate screen, so you can access all of your climate stuff over here without having to dig into the infotainment system. And a fun little trick here is actually, if you hold this, you can actually bring up a panel here where you can actually keep it to either just the climate or infotainment, or it could turn that kind of cycling thing off all the time, so you can have a choice of where this goes to all the time, which is nice. In the lower center console area over here, we're gonna have to dive a little bit deeper down since there's so much stuff going on down here. We have a USB-C, another USB-C, and this one you can actually cycle, so it can either be just charging or USB connected to the vehicle and charging. Since we have wireless Apple CarPlay now, you're probably not gonna need to use these that much, and a wireless charger in here. We also have this massive center console storage area over here, really easily accessible, and you're going to note there's this really cool ambient lighting underneath it as well, which is nice. We're going to find a 12-volt socket, as well as, you guessed it, another USB-C port. So yeah, there's a lot of USB-C ports in this interior. Then you're going to come to this giant center floating console area over here. Very similar design to the pre-facelift EV6, though we do have some changes we'll point out. I do really like this little hook right here, which is nice. So you kind of hang things in this little area over here, or maybe like a strap for a purse so it doesn't kind of fly all over the place. But over here, we're going to find our updated wireless charging mat over here with these cool kind of light animations to show that it is indeed charging. It's a big charging mat, so it's going to fit any kind of big phone you have, which is nice. We have our drive selector over here, still a circle, ambient lit as well. So drive, neutral, reverse. Reverse obviously is going to bring up our backup camera. But we can also access our camera via this little button right here. And this is a good camera system generally. Quality wise, these are high quality cameras. You have an insane amount of views you can cycle through, like truly an insane amount of views. There's so much. You'd even of course have that full 3D view as well, so you can kind of swipe around the vehicle. Lots of stuff to kind of go about there. But you also have auto park, so I can hold this button and it's going to bring up our parking assist system. So if I drive by, it finds space, I press the button. This is a cool thing. So I could take my hands off the steering wheel and let it park, but in some situations, it will actually allow me to just step out of the vehicle and then use the key fob to then park the vehicle into that same space by holding the button. That is really cool. I really don't see any other brands doing that. And thankfully, physical climate buttons for our ventilated seats. There are 3-stage for both driver and front passenger, and 3-stage heat seating as well. So that is a fantastic touch as well. This armrest is a little bit on the harder side, I will say, but it's cool material design. It's the same material we're actually going to find on the dash up here, which is kind of cool actually, how it's sculpted, the little GT-Line script over there. But opening this up, we have a pretty big center console area over here. It's really deep and felt lined, so you can fit a nice amount of stuff in there. And a fun little trick over here is if you see these two cup holders, you can actually make this one even bigger. So if you want more storage, you kind of have like one-ish kind of cup holder, maybe a little more storage there, and you can put in this little divider right back in. So that's a nice little touch there. And of course, just a good old normal glove box. It is illuminated. We have our adapter actually in here for NACS to a J1772. Really nice stuff there. Now, of course, we got to talk about this infotainment system, because this is, again, all new for this facelifted EV6. Please pardon the fingerprints on here, but what I mean by okay is I think that how they've laid it out on these main cards is generally pretty okay. So we have this kind of main style widget screen over here. We have our built-in navigation. If you swipe down over there, you're going to get some quick controls here for like interior brightness. So you can kind of control all of your interior brightness right there, navigation guidance, all that stuff right there. So that's easy to access. But once you start swiping into all of these screens, I think the menu structure, and I had the same issue even with the newer Genesis products, there's just a lot of menu hopping over here, and you have this really nice polished design here. But the second you kind of go into some more deeper settings, not this is still, I think, kind of clean. Once you go into here, it gets a little bit confusing sometimes. So for example, if we go to vehicle settings, let's say we go to driver assistance, all of these menus then turn into this side menu panel over here. And I think just how some things are laid out, it's just a lot of stuff to kind of go through all the time. You definitely get used to it, but I like this screen, you know, for your driver assistance. It kind of shows you where all your driver assistance things are and kind of just brings you into every single one of those screens. But, you know, to change your ambient lighting, for example, you have to go to setup, then you got to go to vehicle, then we got to go to lights, and then we got to go to ambient lighting, and then we can, you know, adjust it via here. So that's kind of giving you a whole really nice breadth of different ambient light colors, and it's gorgeous in this interior. I like to be able to change it all the time, but there's a lot of steps there. Let's see if the voice assistant can help. Accessing other stuff is generally quite fine. I love the amount of EV information that this car gives you. All of the Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis products are fantastic with their EV information, and as an electric vehicle, I want to see all this information, and they give it to you, which is great. So we can see our battery status here. Tapping it brings you into all of your settings as well. So you can adjust your charge target, your AC charge target. You can change departure settings for, you know, some scheduling for climate stuff. Adjust your vehicle to load percentage, how much it can use of the battery percentage. So that's really cool as well. I love this kind of electric use area over here. So it's showing you what's being used or using the battery. Quick access to your battery preconditioning as well as your battery temperature stuff there. There's like this utility mode here. So you have a lot of great things here. You can even adjust how the auto, you know, regeneration works. There's a lot of great customization features in this vehicle. The big new thing is we also have wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. That's actually a really great feature now, so you don't have to plug it in all the time. Also in here, we have this upper panel here. So we have these touch activated LED interior illumination lights, incredibly bright and easy controls for our large roof over here, though, again, not fully panoramic going all the way back, but for front driver and passenger, it's a pretty nice experience. Overall, I think this is a totally fine interior space. I really don't have any general complaints. Everything works really well. The infotainment system, sure, you know, it's really not that much of a complaint. Once you hop into Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, it works totally fine, and you'll definitely get used to how all this stuff works. And how could I forget, we also have a heads-up display over there as well. Again, these typically don't show well on camera, but this is a really crystal clear heads-up display. It really does a great job at showing you driving information, so it kind of projects everything you're going to see here onto that dash, and it's really great when you're using your highway driving assistant function. So I'll try to show that off to you guys. And if there was anything to complain, I would like to have a little bit more thigh support and a little bit more bolstering on the lower cushion of the seat. I think the top cushion's fine, as are the headrests. Just, I think this lower cushion area could be worked on just a little bit more. And if you are taller, headroom is a little bit on the smaller side here. I would say my head, I have about this much headroom actually before my roof is touching this upper headliner over here, because this is a pretty low sloping roof line. Something like a Hyundai Ioniq 5 may be a little bit of a better option for you in that department. It's a sister vehicle on this platform. But let's go take this thing out on a drive and see how it is on the road. How does this thing drive around town? Well, I still think the Hyundai Kia eGMP cars are still some of my favorite driving, just, you know, mainstream EVs. Great Tesla replacements in that sense. And this one's even better since it has the Tesla port standard now. It's built into the vehicle in the United States, in the North American market, that NACS port there. So you can go right up to a Tesla charger that's capable, pop it in, authenticate it, and you're good to go. Another great thing about these cars that I really enjoy and have always enjoyed is the regenerative braking capability here. So put this to a test here. We'll put it in iPedal Max mode right now. And this is the mode that we use for your one pedal driving functionality. And you toggle this by playing with the paddle shifters on the steering wheel here. And this is still one of my favorite implementations of this regenerative braking style system here. You have a great little indication right there on your dash. Right paddle brings it down to a level 3, 2, 1, off completely. So let's say you're driving along and you want to turn your regenerative braking off completely, press it to 0, and the car coasts. This is what I actually like to use on highway trips, especially in a lot of just coasting flat ground situations where you kind of pick up speed going downhill. You don't always want regenerative braking. You kind of just want to coast and not use energy whatsoever. So I like that you can do that easily, and then you can quickly, adjust that regen with these pedals. And the iPedal Max works really, really well to kind of work as a one pedal driving functionality. And it's not jerky. It's not really, aggressive or unsettling to passengers in the rear, for example. As you can see, it comes to a really nice, calm, very smooth stop here, unlike some Teslas may do in some cases. I do tend to feel a little sick in those vehicles as a passenger. This car is really, really smooth, and even coming off of that one pedal driving application is really, really smooth. It feels great in the pedal as well, not any sort of like jerky actions there. So really great stuff there in that tuning. Whoa, 320 horsepower is way quicker than you think. This vehicle, as an EV, it's not light, but it's not particularly heavy. It's in the mid 4,000 pound range. There's a lot of EVs that are pretty similarly sized, if not a little bit bigger and way heavier. So not the worst amount of weight. Really strong power out of this car, really, really strong power, especially in the sport mode. I honestly have gotten so used to these sounds out of this electric cars that they kind of just become normal. I kind of like them actually now. But again, pop in one pedal drive here. It's really predictable. You can come to a small coast and stop really easily, but range I'm really excited about. Now on the highway, this car is really great. As you can see right now, it is doing an automatic lane change for me. I actually don't have to fully press it like that, but it's one way to do it. This has Highway Driving Assistant 2, and it's I guess one of the higher levels of Kia's latest highway driving assistant that's always been one of our favorites on this channel. On the highway, it's just a great system, and in the sense of that it's pretty confident in its actions and maintaining a lane, as well as really good stop and go between vehicles in front of you as well. It doesn't feel very jerky. It's just very natural and smooth. And this auto lane change system works really well. Visuals are great, because you can see, well, maybe you can't see on this heads-up display over there. It's really crystal clear, nice, crisp heads-up display, displaying my lane lines. It's curving with the road, just like what I'm seeing right here. It shows me what's in my blind spot there. We have our blind spot cameras. This thing is a great highway vehicle. Efficiency-wise, I am expecting to see around 3.5, maybe 3.8 miles per kilowatt hour. I've had this vehicle now for 35 miles. It's fresh in the fleet for the week. So we've been averaging 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour, and that has genuinely been pure highway driving. So on our road trip test, we're probably gonna see around 300 miles of usage. We'll see what really comes out of that efficiency number there. So we'll reset our trip meter there. This is borderline, like Super Cruise level good stuff here. And again, that lane change assistant, you just got to keep your hand on the wheel. You have your camera pop up there. It's really quick and confident. Really, honestly, pretty close to one of my favorite lane change assist systems which is BMW's, which is kind of scary how confident it is. It really just almost like cuts off another vehicle. It's so aggressive. And you can hear on the highway, I'm gonna be a little quiet for a second. It's pretty quiet in here. We just passed a pretty large SUV. Typically you would hear some wind noise or tire noise. Nothing. It just is well muted and dimmed. And when I close this sunshade here, it gets a little bit even quieter in here. So I'm impressed that they've really been able to keep that wind noise down to a minimum. I don't really recall the Kia EV6 GT, the first generation version of it, the pre-facelift back from 2 years ago, having that much road noise, but I did notice more in that vehicle with the larger, more aggressive tires and rubber that vehicle had. So that could be a difference here. Again, going over these bumps, pretty well damped, really good body control. I would say this is a very confident handling vehicle. It isn't sporty in the sense of the GT. That is a whole other kind of wild vehicle. If you've never experienced the EV6 GT or even the Hyundai Ioniq 5M, those cars will truly bend your mind on like what's capable out of a mainstream chassis. They really tune the whole thing up to a whole nother level. The whole chassis is really, really different than this actual vehicle here, but as a fully loaded Kia, it's bringing you that sporty styling, all the amenities and features, and a really great overall package that, you know, this one is 60 grand. You don't have to get all this stuff. You can actually get more range out of some lower trim models with almost as many features, but this is a really, really nice vehicle. Otherwise, guys, definitely keep an eye out for our coming road trip video that we will be doing in this all new 2025 Kia EV6. Thanks you guys for watching, and stay tuned for more coming soon. Cheers.